Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Lushala. 2 weeks ago I sent out a newsletter on how to boost your immune system. Today we're going to do a practice. I'm going to show you how I actually do it. I received phone calls and email letters requesting that I do this, so here we are. We have here today, we have vegetables, such as we have Swiss chard, we have some scallions, we have some kale. Usually I would also use some spinach. And what I'm going to do, we also have here ginger, we have garlic, we have avocado, we have options of green apples and red apples. I usually will use the green. If you're diabetic or you're worried about blood sugar, too much sugar, I would go with the green apples. If you just want the sweetness, I would go with any of the red apples. So I also have celery sticks, okay? And I also have cucumber. So the first thing I do is, because because of possible contamination, I rinse them off in water. I wash them thoroughly, okay? And then I start to wash in this water, which has about half a cup of vinegar to make sure it's well disinfected, so you don't have to worry about any virus or any bacteria. And so what I'm going to do is wash the vegetables that I'm going to be using. Okay, I'm going to wash them. They've already been rinsed out, so now I'm just washing them. Okay, I'm going to get a second bowl. So that once they are washed, I can rinse them out. I don't have the spinach today. I think we're out of spinach, but we are going to be using some cilantro. Now, as far as how much do you really need, that all depends on how many people you want to serve. And the tendency is to make too much in the beginning when you first starting off making these kinds of smoothie. So I would suggest that start off small, okay? All right. I've got 2 ginger tea. These are grown in the United States of America. They don't have to be organic, but if you can get organic, it's better to always have organic fruits and vegetables. So I peel them, and I have a Vitamix here. I have a Vitamix with a cup of water. I'm going to throw this in there. I might even break it up to make it easier for the Vitamix. And then I'm going to blend it. This way I'm utilizing the entire, I'm using the entire ginger. The ginger is highly concentrated, and once I boil it for about 2-3 minutes, it will be ready. You can dilute it with more water, to make tea, or you can add more water to it and make a bigger pot. But again, everybody's tolerance to ginger is different, so you might want to start off with a small ginger, but I like my ginger to be slightly strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil this. Once it starts to boil, it's ready. Now, this will be highly if you're just going to drink it as is, this will be very strong. I do not recommend it. I recommend that you use more water. But the purpose of what I'm doing right now is to use it to make the green drink, which you can see in my first video. So if I'm going to use this as a tea, I will use a bigger pot, and I will add at least 5, 6, 7, 8 cups of water. So this is just to use for the green drink. Now that now that the ginger is boiling, we have our tea, which is highly concentrated. We can turn it off and let it cool. If this is to be drunk as a tea directly, what you want to do is you want to add more water to it in order to dilute the taste. Otherwise, it's very strong, it's very spicy. But the purpose of this is I'm going to use this. I have a cup of ice cubes. I'm going to drop it in this to cool it off fast. And I'm going to use it to make my green smoothie. Okay? So we have fresh ginger tea that's going to be used towards the green smoothie. So now our green tea, concentrated green tea is ready. I added some, as you can see, I added the ice cubes to cool it down because we don't want it hot when we put it into our Vitamix. The Vitamix actually has been rinsed. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to pour, and if you like, you can add more. So there we go. So I'm going to add some more water. I'm going to add some more water. To give it a little bit more volume. And so this is about halfway full. So we're gonna see. So we're gonna add that. Now we're going to add our vegetables that have been rinsed and washed in vinegar water. Celeries, of course. We also have Swiss chard. We have our cilantros. Now this is for a family of 3, so we're using quite a bit of vegetable here. I'm going to blend it for a little bit so that it will give us more space. Now we're going to add our apples. It doesn't matter in what order you do these, but you just, you want to get all these different vegetables in and fruits. Okay, let's blend for a little while. So a very important ingredient is the avocado, because avocado it makes the drink nice and creamy. You don't have to use a whole lot, about a quarter of a small avocado. So I have 2, this is about a quarter of a small avocado. I'm also going to throw in cucumber and 1 or 2 garlic, depending on, if you're feeling sick or you feel like something, you have an infection or something's wrong, I would suggest you use anywhere between 2 to 3 cloves. And if you can, if you're not so much into garlic, maybe 1. Okay? So, here we go. What we have here is flaxseed and hemp seed. The flaxseed also supplies you omega-3, and it's also would help make your green smoothie smoother. And especially if you don't like avocado or you're worried about the fat content, then this is a good option. I would use about 1 tablespoon for 3 of us, okay? And I would grind it in this coffee grinder. And I would then throw it into the green smoothie. Now, for those of you who are vegans, if you're a vegan, the hemp seed is a very good option to add to it. If you're worried about your protein intake, again, I would put about 2 tablespoons of this. Okay. And bring it to a blend. Okay, here we go. And we can bring it to a boil. Again, there's no, there's no one way of doing this. Some people like more cilantro, some people like a little bit more avocado, some people like a little bit more apple. You can modify it to suit your taste. The important thing is, I like to bring in different vegetables to harvest their different chemicals to bring healing to my body and to strengthen my immune system. So, having all this done, I think we're Now, if you look at the texture, it is nice and creamy. You really cannot see vegetables floating around. It's just cream. It's very creamy. It's very smooth. As you can see, it's creamy and smooth. And it's not thick. That delicious, the ginger comes out. I can taste the garlic a little bit, but it's delicious. And this is something I would drink for breakfast. If I'm eating potatoes or something, it could be my side drink. If I'm having my evening dinner, I would drink a cup like this, with my meal, because this is a much faster way for me to get my vegetables, and it's also the best way for me to harvest the nutrients because they've been pulverized, and so it makes it easier for my body to absorb. And it's now the vegetables that we put in there, especially things like the kale and if you have spinach in there, these high sulfur containing plants, and they will help to boost your glutathione, a very powerful antioxidant that's produced in the liver. So this is good for your health. It's good to keep you young and healthy. And stay healthy, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.